Remember the famous Canadian healthcare system they were so proud of? Well, it's completely falling apart, along with a lot of other things in that country. Emergency rooms closing all over Canada. One emergency room physician in Toronto just told the Globe and News that Canada's healthcare system, quote, has already collapsed. And it's not the only thing that's collapsing. The Canadian economy is in deep trouble. 1 in 5 Canadians now report going hungry because of inflation. Thankfully, they've got Justin Trudeau on the scene, and he's got a plan. He announced just the other day he's going to deal with Canada's biggest problem, and that, of course, is Two-Spirit Eskimos. They're facing a lot of discrimination. And to rectify that, Trudeau announced that Canada will invest $100 million in a, quote, historic action plan for something called, and we're quoting, the 2SLGBTQI plus communities. Those communities are hurting, not that Justin Trudeau can identify who they are exactly. Here's part of his announcement.
Since day one, our government has been committed to protecting the rights of two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and additional sexuality and gender diverse people.
Remember when liberals used to say, we don't care about your sex life, we don't care who you sleep with? You kind of never imagined when they were saying that they'd be awarding tax dollars to people on the basis of who they sleep with. Really? We should also note that Justin Trudeau spelled out all of those words. The acronym LGBTQ+ has given him some trouble before because, like everyone else on planet Earth, he has no freaking idea what it means. Here he was in September.
I will never apologize for standing up for LGBTQ2+ kids' rights.
You can imagine it practicing in the mirror. But no one told them what the letters stand for because, again, nobody knows. And the acronym has since grown. It's now 2SLGBTQI+. And if you don't know it, you're a bigot because they're getting $100 million for some reason, even though we can't identify them and no one knows what a two-spirit is, but shut up. How much of that money is coming from the truckers whose bank accounts Trudeau seized? Well, we bring you tonight an actual Canadian, Gad Saad, friend of ours, author of The Parasitic Mind, joining us. So I'm sorry to laugh as your country is humiliated by its lunatic leader. But like, what is this? Do you have any idea?
Well, good to see you, Tucker. Look, let's put things in context. About 1 million Canadians identify as being part of that community, which is about 2% of people. So that's a sizable minority. Mm-hmm. Now, 0.24% identify as trans or non-binary. And in 2019, there were something like 264 hate crimes. Now, of course, one hate crime is too many, but to contextualize it, it's not as though we have a genocide of marginalized people taking place in Canada. And so if Justin Trudeau wanted to create a more tolerant and a more safe society, he can do one of three things. He can strengthen the ethos of absolute free speech in Canada so that people can speak openly about hot button issues without fearing for their careers, let alone their lives. He could allow people the God-given right to protect themselves. He recently said that Canadians do not have a right to self-defense. Well, I thought as an evolutionist, there are two mechanisms that drive evolution, survival and mating. Well, apparently, our luminary leader doesn't think that survival constitutes a fundamental right that people should hold. And the third thing, speaking of that particular marginalized community, if he cares about protecting the LGBTQ community, then maybe he needs to revisit his immigration policy because he's letting in millions of people who don't share his love and tolerance for that particular community. So maybe he needs to be a bit more consistent.
Before we concede that community is, quote, marginalized, has anyone done an income check? Because it's my impression, one, that anybody can be a part of that community just by saying so, and I'm considering it now that money's flowing. And two, that members of that community are among the richest people in Canada.
Well, certainly when I teach my consumer behavior course, I specifically make the point that typically gay individuals have higher incomes and are better educated than their counterparts. And so certainly from that perspective, you're exactly right, Tucker.
Yeah, I can't speak to the two spirits because I don't think anybody knows what a two-spirit is, but, you know, they're always welcome, of course, on our show. Gad, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
You too. Cheers.